combination of the two, the righteousness and the morality, the righteousness and judgment, the law, are seen in a lot of places. But I want to give you, again, one example of this, and there are many examples. It wouldn't hurt you to go find some. But this is from the Gospel of Matthew. It's from chapter 22, starting at verse 36. A man came to Jesus and said, "Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law?" And Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the great and foremost commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend the whole law and the prophets." The Word of God. Relationship with God and relationship with man. Now, I want to explain something to you. And if you don't have a relationship with the Lord, listen to what I'm saying. If you don't have a right relationship with God, you'll never have a right relationship with people.
Amen.
Husbands, you'll never have a right relationship with your wife until you have a right relationship with God. Wives, the same thing is true. You will never have a right relationship with your husband until you have a right relationship with God. That goes from parents to children. It goes from bosses to employees. It goes at every human level. It requires, in order for you to have right relationships, you've got to have a right relationship with God and a right relationship with those people. That's the Word of God.
Mm-hmm.
That's the message of Amos. This is what God is saying. He sends Amos into the land, into a place where his people are being disobedient and sinful, and they have become complacent. They become comfortable. They have become at ease with their sin. And God says, you need to have. They're not being righteous because they don't have that right. They're doing all this religious stuff. If you were here with us last week, we were talking about God hates, He rejects their festivals, all their religious stuff. Mm-hmm. He said, I hate it, I reject it. Mm-hmm. They couldn't have a right relationship with God because they were being disobedient to God, but they were also being disobedient in as much as they were getting rich. He's talking to a class that's getting rich at the expense of their brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. There is a horrible example of poor relations between the people of God. So there was not a good relationship between the people, and there's not a good relationship between the people and God. They go together. Mm-hmm. All right? That's why God sends, and this is the core message of Amos. Justice and righteousness. A right relationship with God, a right relationship with man. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now there's a verse you like, I know. It basically says the same thing from Micah chapter 6, verse 8. And Margie's going to sing it for you right now. Da, 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 da.
Man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God.
Okay. You don't have to worry about, I got it. Good work. You don't have to worry about doing justice to God. You're not in a position to judge God.
No, true.
So he's talking about your relationship with people. And that you walk humbly with Him. That's your relationship with Him. And it's always, again, just that relationship. You have to have a right relationship with God and a right relationship with men. I've done a lot, I've served as a pastor in churches for more than 30 years, and I've done a lot of counseling. And I've done a lot of counseling with husbands and wives. And, I've had people come to me, wives come to me, and husbands come to me and say, well, I really love the Lord, but I just don't love my wife anymore. I say, you liar. You liar. Because you don't love the Lord any more than you love your wife. Jesus Christ said, what you've done to the least of my brethren, you've done to me. If you're not loving people, you're not loving God. Go back to what I just read you from Matthew 22. Jesus Christ said, here's the deal. This is a paraphrase. Here's the deal. It's love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Have a right relationship with God and have a right relationship with man. Because if you're missing either one of those, you're missing out.
And He didn't say, let's make a deal. He said, this is the deal.
This is the deal. This is the deal. Okay?
Love